Okay, Shalom, Shalom, giving all praises, going honors unto Yahweh, Basham Yahweh Shai, Basham Kakwadash, double honors to the apostles, bishops, elders of Great Millstone. Peace of best to 144,000 resident hopeful elect. This is your brother Zion from GMS Atlanta. Back again with another edifying video on the new moon and correcting the Iuic. Okay, so now I'm on the Iuic website underneath new moon. Okay, underneath the new moon. Right, so this is according to the Iuic website. This is what they teach. All right, and this is open to everyone to go to. For everyone to see. All right, this isn't any secret investigation. This is just taking an incorrect teaching and correcting the teaching. Okay, according to scripture and correct science, correct knowledge through the spirit and power of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. Okay? So, IOIC teaches the new moon on their website. And the first statement here, the new moon is the full moon, is wrong. And I'm going to show you why it's wrong. It says the moon was made on the fourth day of creation. The moon rules the night and is for signs and seasons. Now, that's correct. And they put these scriptures up. These scriptures are correct. We all go through these Bible scriptures to explain the understanding of the moon and how it works. The feasts of the Lord are seasonal, kept according to the new moon, except the Sabbath. No, once again, that's wrong. I've done previous lessons a few days ago. The new moon is a Sabbath. The new moon is a dark moon. That is a Sabbath. Okay? And I just went over weeks and the waxing. Okay? So they're wrong on that. All right? The new moon determines the Sabbath, not Friday to Saturday. Okay? So there's a lot of wrong. The scriptures that they put together are right, but the understanding that they get from the scriptures is wrong. The new moon is not the full moon. The new moon is a dark moon. The new moon does determine the Sabbath. All right, the weekly Sabbath. The weekly Sabbath is not Friday. Show us, show Friday, show Israel that Friday and Saturday sundown is in the Bible. If you can show Friday and Saturday in the Bible, then you might, by George, you might be right. But no, it's not in there. Okay? So now it says here, Israel had a dinner for the new moon and sacrificed unto the Lord. That's correct. All right? The new moon was the time to blow up the trumpet. I read that in Psalms 81. So now this is what I want to get to. All right? Now Isaiah 66 and 23, that they have up, and it shall come to pass that from one new moon to another, and from one Sabbath to another, shall all flesh come to worship before me, saith the Lord Yahweh. Not God, not Jesus, but the Lord. When you look up this word for Lord in the Hebrew language, where the Bible was translated from, it's not going to have the word for Lord. The word for Lord in the Hebrew is Adonai. The word for Lord there in the Hebrew, in this particular verse, is going to say Yahweh. Okay? So now it says that there was an eclipse on Passover when Yahweh Shai, the Messiah, who they ignorantly call Christ, was crucified. All right? And the scholars agree. The scholars say that there was an eclipse. But what type of eclipse? What type of eclipse? All right? Now it says Matthew 27:45. Now from the 6th hour there was darkness over all the land unto the 9th hour. That is a 3-hour time period. From 6 to 6 hour. Now what's the first hour? The first hour of the day is 6 a.m. So from 6 a.m., 12 hours later, 6 hours later, from 6 a.m., 6 hours later is 12 p.m. 3 hours after 12 p.m. is around 3 p.m. Okay? I'm going to show you something. All right? We're learning here. Passover always comes on the 14th evening, correct, which is the 15th, which is a full moon. I'm going to show you why. It says a solar eclipse only occurs during the dark phase of the moon. Misnomer is new moon. No, it's not a misnomer. All right? That is the correct name of the dark phase of the moon, a new moon. So it says, remember, Passover always falls on the 5th day of the first lunar month. Here are 2 calendars. What 2 calendars? One beginning with the full moon light and one beginning with the dark phase of the moon, misnomer, new moon. What two calendars? So now IUIC, you have to explain these 2 calendars. What 2 calendars did the Israelites use according to the law? According to the law, according to Genesis to Deuteronomy, where do you find 2 calendars? That has one with the full moon and then one with the dark moon. See how they keep putting their foot in their mouth and just making up stuff? Okay? There's not 2 calendars. All right? So now it says, and one beginning with the dark phase of the moon, misnomer, new moon. No, that is the new moon. And it says, since a solar eclipse only occurs during the dark phase of the moon, misnomer, new moon. Yes, now this is correct. A solar eclipse only occurs during a dark new moon. All right? So they're saying that so it says Matthew 27:45. Now from the 6th hour there was darkness over all the land until the 9th hour. So what they're saying is, because there was a solar eclipse during a dark moon, that means 14, 15 days before the beginning of the month, the full moon is the beginning of the month. And then 14 days, which is 2 weeks later, going to the 15th day, you have the Passover, which is a dark moon. No, it wasn't a solar eclipse. So what they're saying here, this proves the full moon is the beginning of the month. Count 15 days to Passover, and the dark phase of the moon occurs. Hence, a solar eclipse occurred. The Bible reproves astronomy, which teaches the new moon begins dark, then increases to full light, then decreases to dark again. Well, I've already foolproofed it, all right, in this lesson. So, but there was not a solar eclipse. A solar eclipse did not occur during the Passover. I'm going to show you that. So now let's go to, I looked it up here. So now you have the crucifixion darkness. All right? So it says the crucifixion darkness is an event described in the synoptic gospels, in which the sky becomes dark in daytime during the crucifixion of Yahushua for roughly 3 hours. Most ancient and medieval Christian writers treated this as a miracle and believe it to be one of the few episodes from the New Testament, which were confirmed by non-Christian sources, modern scholars have found no contemporary references to it outside the New Testament. So it occurred for 3 hours, right? From the 6th hour until the 9th hour, biblical accounts. Now let's get the point that I want to get here. So it says the text of the Gospel of Matthew reads, "From noon on, darkness came over the whole land, or earth, until 3 in the afternoon." It was the whole land. Earth just means ground, land. All right. The author includes dramatical details following the death of Yahushua. The earth shook. Tombs were open. So let's see here. I want to get to the point. So they pretty much all say the same thing. But this is what I want to read here. So it says, it appears that Luke may have originally explained the event as a miraculous solar eclipse. So this might be where IUIC is getting it from. I'm not sure, but it doesn't say that. The majority of manuscripts of the Gospel of Luke have the Greek phrase, the sun was darkened. All right? That doesn't mean it was a solar eclipse. It says, but the earliest manuscripts say the sun's light failed or the sun was in eclipse. This earlier version may have amended by later scribes to correct what they assumed was an error, since Passover occurs during a full moon. I'm going to say that again. The Passover occurs during a full moon. I didn't need the scholars to tell me that, but the scholars agree. The writers of these different articles agree, even here. I went through the phase of the moon myself, and now what you see is they're repeating it here. It says, but a solar eclipse occurs during a new moon. Okay? So the new moon and the Passover are occurrences on two different phases of the moon. The Passover did not occur on a dark moon. The Passover occurred on a full moon. This is just simple science. If IUIC just used Google and the Blue Letter Bible, right, they already go into the commentaries, then they'll get the understanding. But really it's because they teach Jesus Christ and not Yahushua. So the Lord is not supping with them to give them the full understanding. Another thing, it says, furthermore, now this is really going to cut that doctrine. Furthermore, a total eclipse provides darkness at one location during totality for a maximum of 7.5 minutes. A solar eclipse, it only occurs for 7 minutes. Whereas the gospel states that the darkness covered the land for roughly 3 hours. And it has nothing to do with, oh, well, it was a miracle by God. That's why it was 3 hours. Nope, I'm going to show you. It says, for these reasons, one early Christian commentator suggested that the early texts attributing an event to an eclipse had been deliberately corrupted by opponents of the church to make it high. That's not what we want. So let's do this. Let's go to the longest solar eclipse. The longest recorded total solar eclipse was on June 15th, 743 BC, and lasted 7 minutes. 7 minutes. It took place in the Indian Ocean off the coast of Kenya and Somalia. It says the longest possible total solar eclipse, which is what the IUIC claims, because they say that the Passover was on the new moon, which is the 15th day of the month. I'm sorry, they say that the Passover is on a dark moon, which is the 14th into the 15th day of the month. So the longest possible total solar eclipse is 7 minutes and 32 seconds. This could happen when the sun is at aphelion and its farthest point from Earth, and the moon is at perigee, its closest point to Earth. So the longest solar eclipse that can never occur is 7 minutes and 32 seconds. So this cuts what IUIC says that the solar eclipse occurred during Passover when Yahushua was crucified. Can't happen. But if it was a lunar eclipse, there's different eclipses. You have solar eclipses, you have lunar eclipses. But if it was a lunar eclipse, now before I get this, let's go to the scriptures, right? They got them posted up, right? So Matthew 27 and 45. Now from the 6th hour, there was darkness all over the land unto the 9th hour. So according to Matthew 27 and 45, for 3 hours, there was an eclipse. It could not have been a solar eclipse, as the IUIC claims, right? The IUIC claims that a solar eclipse occurred. It could not be a solar eclipse because a solar eclipse only occurs during a new moon, a dark moon. So now let's go and see the longest lunar eclipse. The longest lunar eclipse partial lunar eclipse lasted 3 hours, 28 minutes. It was a lunar eclipse. Lunar eclipses can be long for a few reasons, including the moon's orbital speed and how close it is to being totally eclipsed. Can a lunar eclipse last 3 hours? Generally speaking, in the case of a total eclipse, it can last about 3 hours. 1 hour for the moon to move completely into the umbra, 1 for the moon to be completely immersed in the umbra, and 1 hour for the moon to move out of the umbra. What is the maximum duration of lunar eclipse? A total lunar eclipse can last up to nearly 2 hours, while a total solar eclipse lasts only a few minutes at any given place because the moon's shadow is smaller. Also, unlike solar eclipses, lunar eclipses are safe to view. Right, if it was a solar eclipse, everybody went down there blind, even back in the ancient world. So it was a lunar eclipse, IUIC. Get it correct. Lunar eclipses are safe to view without any eye protection or special precautions. So Israel united in Christ is wrong. So I want to throw that in there, this truth. You know, you get a true understanding when you speak in the names of Yahweh and Yahushua. If they continue to speak in the names of God and Jesus Christ, they're going to continue to break the scriptures down wrong, and they're not going to increase in the true understanding. Okay? But this breakdown is wrong, and I just proved it wrong. Another foolproof breakdown on the new moon and how the IUIC is wrong. So, 3 hours, darkness over the land, Matthew 27 and 45, from the 6th hour to the 9th hour, that is a lunar eclipse, which disproves that the new moon, that the dark moon is the beginning of the month, which is a new moon. So you got to go into these doctrines and you have to pull down these strongholds that people are being astray. So I did the knowledge and the science. If IUIC member or whoever just happens to watch it, right? And listen, we get on you guys because you're going off on the scriptures. Okay? Scriptures were pulled, precepts, knowledge and information was pulled out. So just put on your thinking caps and ask yourself, does that make sense? So what I just said makes sense. So IUIC is wrong when it comes to the new moon. All you got to do is correct it, fix it, and just go deeper into it. That's all. I didn't call one out. I didn't call anyone out their name. I didn't call them a bunch of assholes. Nah. I just said that they broke the scriptures down wrong. IUIC is wrong. Okay. So it's on you to go into it with your leaders and your leaders to fix and correct, and that's between them and Yahweh Ba'ashem Yahweh Shai. But the warning and the correction has been put out. But with that, I hope this was edifying. Shalom.